Did you know in Korean, dogs don't roof and cats don't meow? What do? Stick around to find out. Welcome to 5 Things You Didn't Know About Korean. 안녕하세요. Korean, or as you'd say in Korean, han-goo-guh. Where does it come from? Who speaks it? And does the language have a lot of soul? 오, 너무 좋아요. 근데 봅시다. Yes, it does. Spoken by over 81 million people around the world, Korean is the official language of South Korea. Though interestingly, South Koreans call it han-goo, which is similar to what they call their language han-goo-guh. Korean is also the official language of North Korea, but they call their version of Korean by yet another name. They call it 조선말. Okay, Korean, 한국어, 조선말. Why all the different names? They're all Korean. They come from different historical dynasties, and it's also not uncommon for a nationalistic entity to want to distinguish itself by naming its language something different. I mean, look at what the Soviet Union used to call Ukrainian. I mean, to be fair, North Korean is a little bit different from South Korean, but really only as different as, say, British and American English. So, pretty similar. So while different varieties of Korean are reasonably similar, the Korean language as a whole is really different from every other human language. In fact, most scholars classify it as a language isolate, meaning that it doesn't have a language family like Romance languages, for example. And I know what you're thinking, Emily, isn't Korean similar to Chinese? You're not wrong. Korean does incorporate a lot of vocabulary from Chinese, but their grammatical structure is completely different and they're not from the same language family. That said, the language overlap between Korean and Chinese is pretty messy because when you're walking down the streets of South Korea, you'll see Chinese characters sprinkled all over the place. But don't take that to mean that all Koreans know Chinese. They don't. It's just a historical and, honestly at this point, stylistic imprint. And guys, I have to mention this. This video is near and dear to my heart because I used to live in South Korea, so I got to learn the language, fall in love with the culture. So whether you're interested in Korean because you want to better understand K-pop music, watch K-drama shows, or you want to make the most out of an upcoming adventure to South Korea, get excited because this language is so cool. And without further ado, let's get into the 5 things that you didn't know about Korean. Fun fact number 1, to speak Korean, you need something called Nunchi. What is Nunchi? It literally translates in English to eye measurement, but what it really means is something closer to social awareness. Like if someone says that you have Nunchi in Korean, what they're really saying is that you have the ability to read a room and to understand the social hierarchy of a situation. Now, you might think, who cares about social hierarchy? Let's all be equal. Preach. But in Korean culture, social hierarchy matters, and politeness conventions like bowing, for example, are pretty hard to overlook if you want to participate in everyday society. And it turns out that having Nunchi matters a lot when you're speaking Korean, because Korean has something called an honorific system, which is basically like formality and politeness culture, but on steroids and directly applied to how you use the language. Like when you're learning Korean, here is an almost verbatim transcription of what's happening in your head before you even open your mouth to speak. Okay, what's the social hierarchy here? Are you older than me or am I older than you? Do we work together? Who has the higher position? How familiar are we really? Strangers, acquaintances, close friends, long-lost sister turned K-pop star? When you're speaking Korean, all of this social information matters because it's only once you've established the social situation between you and the other person that you can then start to plan how you're gonna say what you're gonna say. For example, when you're talking about your house or your best friend's house, you refer to it as a Jeep. But when you're talking about the house of a superior or someone who's more important than you can't call it a Jeep, you have to call it a 대. Note, not all words change depending on the social hierarchy of the situation, but it is enough of a list to merit 2 different sections of a Korean textbook. And as for how the social dynamics affect your grammar in Korean, well, it's all about verb endings. Surprise, surprise. Like if you're in a super formal situation with your boss, there's a verb ending for that. Talking to your little brother, there's a verb ending for that. Talking to a stranger of a similar age and want to be middle of the road, polite but not too formal, there's a verb ending for that too. Fun fact number 2, in Korean, it is all about the yo. This is a point that I think doesn't get enough shine, which I think is unfortunate because as an English speaker, it might be my favorite thing about speaking Korean. Okay, so you know how I went on this long tirade about how verb conjugations can be really difficult because of this complex honorific system? Well, there's good news. Remember that middle-of-the-road politeness verb ending I mentioned? It's the most common verb ending, and you'll honestly use it most of the time, especially as a foreigner learning the language. And the best part? It's pronounced yo, which is amazing. I mean, as an American English speaker, you just get to walk around the streets of South Korea saying yo all the time.
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 오늘 날씨 좋죠?
And it's especially great because unlike Romance languages or English even, you don't have to change the verb form to say she is, I am, they are. It's all just yo, 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 yo. Fun fact number 3, you can learn the Korean alphabet in a day. That's because it was designed to be easy. The shape of the letters was literally designed to mimic the shape of your mouth while you're pronouncing the letter. Also, did you know that the Korean alphabet is one of the youngest alphabets in the world? Yeah, the alphabet is called Hangul, and it was put into official use by King Sejong the Great in 1446. But wait, Korean had been spoken long before 1446. So does that mean that Korean wasn't a written language before 1446? No, and that's where things get really interesting. Before Hangul was created, Koreans wrote the Korean language in, any guesses? What do you think? Chinese characters, called hanja. These are the Chinese characters that you'll see sprinkled all over the streets of Korea. So what prompted the switch from the Chinese characters to the Korean alphabet? 2 things. First, Korean could really no longer accurately be conveyed by the Chinese characters because, well, the languages are so structurally and grammatically different. And also 2, the Chinese writing system is really intricate and has tons of symbols to learn. It makes learning to read and write really difficult. So King Sejong devised this simpler Korean alphabet, and guess what? It leveled the literacy playing field. The Korean alphabet is such a big deal in Korea that there's actually a holiday celebrating it and an amazing museum in Seoul that I can't recommend enough. Seriously, go check it out. Fun fact, if you're traveling to Korea, it's really worth spending the 1 hour to learn the Korean alphabet because so many signs and things are actually English words that have just been transliterated into Hangul. For example, this is orange juice, 오렌지 주스, 비타민, 샌드위치, and room service. Fun fact number 4, in Korean, counting your age can be complicated. This is for 2 reasons. The aging system in Korea works differently and so do the numbers. For example, how old are you right now? And we know I can't hear you because this is a video. Your Korean age is different. This is why when you're in Korea and people want to ask your age, they'll be sure to specify whether they're asking, how old are you in Korean age? 한국 나이로 몇 살이에요? Or how old are you in American/Western age? 미국 나이로 몇 살이에요? Like for example, right now I'm 30 in my Western age, but my Korean age is 32. Why is the Korean age different from Western age? Well, there are 2 main reasons, and they're both tied to interesting Korean history and culture. In Korea, the day you're born, you're considered 1-year-old. Okay, and the second thing is, in Korea, you don't get a year older on your birthday. You officially turn a year older the same day as everyone else. When's that? On the new year. It's like a big nationwide birthday celebration. Although nowadays, a lot of Koreans do celebrate their individual birthdays, but it's not considered a relevant landmark in calculating their Korean age. If you're doing the math, this means that if you have a baby the day before New Year's, then a day after, they will literally be 2 years old in Korean age. Facts! Oh, and about the numbering system. Korean has not 1 but 2 different numbering systems, and they sound completely different. 1, 2, 3, 하나, 둘, 셋, and you use them for different things, like conveying your age, counting objects, or giving your phone number. And get this, when you're telling time, you use 1 numbering system for the hours and the other for the minutes. But don't worry, you'll mess it up all the time and it's okay. Fun fact number 5, in Korean, you don't talk about your mom because it's our mom, like even if you're an only child. Now, this really only applies to people. If you're talking about an inanimate object like a pencil, or say your hanbok, or your finger yoga kit, then of course you can call it my pencil, my hanbok, and my finger yoga kit. But our father, our sister, our school, our country, our company, all of this is ours. Well, those were our 5 facts. Before we wrap up, we need to know, if dogs don't roof and cats don't meow, then what do they do? In Korean, a dog's animal sound isn't ruff ruff, it's mong mong. And a cat doesn't go meow, it goes yow. You might think that animal sounds and onomatopoeias would be pretty similar across languages, but no. As one of my Korean friends once commented to me, well, I guess then we just have different ears. LOL. Well, my friends, that's it for today's video of 5 things you didn't know about Korean. If you're feeling inspired to learn Korean, then check out the Mango Languages Korean course that we have linked for you in the description. If you liked today's video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video from us. Well, friends, I'll see you in the comments. 감사합니다. Or if we're speaking more casually, 고마워요.